In a past, former universe, Izuku Midoriya built himself up and trained so rigorously to be a hero. A boy without a quirk and a boy with a chance to be the #1 hero. Well, he took it and ran with it. At least that's what happened in another universe. But in countless universes, Izuku Midoriya is different. And one, he was born wielding a scythe, wielding a weapon that was lost to time, lost through worlds itself, and that weapon belonged far beyond, but to someone by the name of L'arc. Izuku Midoriya in this universe was exactly like him, but with that said, it brought various challenges. Will Izuku Midoriya be ready? Will he be able to handle the challenges that await him, that are in front of him? Well, let's find out on What If Deku Was L'arc. Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Golden Falls Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back with a brand new What If Deku Was L'arc. As I said, if you don't know who L'arc is, check out Rising of the Shield Hero. He is the Scythe hero from that series, and I want to say challenge accepted and challenge is going to be completed. Shout out to Crown Fiend for challenging me to this What If, and I'm not going to waste much more of your time, and let's get right into the What If. Let's get it. The My Hero Academia universe, or the world that Deku or Izuku Midoriya was born in initially, was far different. They had heroes, people that would save other people from villains alike, but in this, there's a little bit of alteration. There's something coming that not even the heroes could see arrive. L'arc, or the L'arc that we knew in the other universe far from this one, was one of those heroes for his own world. And that's exactly what Izuku Midoriya is. Born with a scythe in his hand, born into a family that passed down this weapon for generations, Izuku was the next to inherit it, especially after his father passed away. At a young age, his father did not live to see the birth of his own son, but his mother knew that she needed to pass down this weapon to him right when he was born. So when he grew up, he began using this weapon, training with it. All he did was use this weapon. He knew that he could be a hero based on just the power of this, just the power of the weapon that he's wielding. But what Izuku Midoriya didn't realize is that this weapon would be crucial in the near future. At the age of 4, to the age of 8, to the age of 12, to the age of 15, all he did was train with this weapon. This was the closest thing he had in terms of a connection with his father. But he didn't know what this weapon truly meant. He never really understood it. He knew that when he went out, killed animals, he'd gain XP. He even gained new skills. It really did seem odd. It seemed like he was in some sort of video game. It was very similar to the ones that are in his world, but his mom would always remind him that, well, this is no fantasy world. But Izuku grew up being very confident, maybe even a little bit overconfident, but he knew the line, and the line that he could not cross. So he began to train more and more, and being at the age of 15, this would be the time that he would head to a hero school. And he asks his mother if that's the best idea for him. Of course, she explains that that idea and that choice is going to come down to his personal wishes. He thanks her for the support and thanks her for everything, and he heads off to enter into UA. But that wouldn't last long. The UA entrance exam may be upon them, but the UA school, the School for Heroes, will turn into something else very fast. When he arrives, the skies begin to turn. The skies begin to crash into each other, and these portals begin to open. Various monsters begin to siege out of them. His weapon begins to react, and he points it up to the sky, and it begins to flash. He realizes that maybe this is exactly what he was waiting for. These monsters that fall from the sky, these waves that will come and try to kill everybody. Maybe this is what he'll have to protect. Pro heroes begin to run out of the exam hall, and the other students begin to get pushed inside. Tons of pro heroes begin to tell Izuku to get inside as well, but he doesn't even listen. He immediately charges at the wave, jumping into the sky onto a big ship. A ship of monsters. It looks like there's fleets of them. Ship upon ship upon ship. He's not sure what to think of this, but he begins to slay skeleton after skeleton with relative ease until this giant hulking person of a man comes in and blasts away 3 of the ships in an instant. This is All Might, the #1 hero in Japan, and frankly the #1 arguably in the world. Maybe everything, all of this, the waves alike, are happening not only in Japan, but the other places as well. That's not something though Izuku can think about, at least not at the moment, and he begins to fight once again, killing monster after monster and realizing that maybe, just maybe, there's a boss monster that they need to handle. He looks down at his overlay for his, well, you could call it a gaming overlay, and it says that they want to teleport him to the boss monster, so he does just that. He gets teleported in, and it's a giant dragon-like beast. He stands there in front of it in complete awe and wonders how he's going to be able to beat something like that. Just as he begins to think about something like this, someone lands right next to him. It's a woman. She's wearing a kimono, and she has red eyes and black hair. And she begins to blast the dragon like crazy, wielding 2 serrated war fans. He's shocked to see this, but the dragon is taking substantial damage, and he decides that it's not a time to look at this girl in awe, it's a time to fight. He dashes in and slices at the dragon, and he begins to summon another scythe, a floating one above him, and he strikes it down on the dragon once again. He backs up and charges up his wind scythe and begins to slice through the air, creating a small tornado, blowing it up into the sky. The woman sees this and begins to blast using her fans once again at the dragon while it's defenseless. But on the other side of the dragon, he sees somebody blast this odd gem-like looking color like a rainbow. It begins to basically burn the dragon and cut through it like butter, eventually defeating it. The dragon falls, and another girl runs in from the forest, panting. I guess I was too late to help anyways. The wave begins to subside. The sky begins to change back, and it's blue once again. Deku looks around and is in complete confusion, and he begins to ask them who they are. The girl with the kimono responds that her name is Glass, responding with the same thing Izuku asked her, and he explains that his name is Izuku Midoriya. Therese, the girl with blue hair and also gemstones as her striking power, introduces herself as obviously Therese, and Kazune does the same. They all introduce each other and begin speaking about everything they've seen so far and everything that they've gone through. Most of them have trained with this weapon from the beginning, but Kazune says that this weapon actually chose her. It was an odd turn of events, and frankly it's a long story. But the short story enough is that this weapon chose her, and it actually can't affect human beings. So being a hero, at least in this world, is practically impossible. Glass remarks that it doesn't seem too impossible now, especially that, well, these waves are coming about. Therese hypothesizes that it might be from a different world, a different universe that these are being summoned from, and Izuku is just clueless, kinda laughing along, saying that, well, if they team up, maybe they can properly handle all the waves. But Glass rejects this idea, says that she likes the idea of teaming up in terms of the waves, but in terms of training and getting stronger, it won't work. It seems like these weapons reject each other. She explains that once they got here and they started fighting the beast, after it died they should have gained a substantial amount of experience points, but they gained 0. So this is definitely an issue. Izuku even says that that makes sense because when he was killing things on his own, he was gaining a decent amount of XP. So they decide that they're going to take this to a different place. Izuku offering his home, which is not too far from here, and it's practically a ranch that they've been isolated on for a little bit, saying that they can speak there. They all nod and they head over. Izuku begins to speak with all three of them about their plans for the upcoming quote-unquote wave, and they begin to say that they don't really have any plans, but it is going to come down to them getting the heroes into tip-top shape, because what it seems like is that the number one hero was the only one that was really able to even put a dent in any of them, and that was the lower tier monsters. And this does concern Izuku. He begins stating that if they can't actually handle it and they are the ones that have to handle it on their own, it could become a problem. So he does hypothesize something, that in the Scythe's weapon, and maybe theirs too, there's a party feature that he can personally add people to his party and they'd gain XP as well and gain special abilities, but he's not so sure how that works. They actually look into their menu as well to see just that. So Glass said that that should be their plan. Gain pro heroes, people they trust, anybody like that to help fight the waves and train. Glass says that she's not sure how long until the next wave, but you never really know when impending danger is around the corner. So they decide they're gonna part ways for the time being. Maybe there's other countries and other places in the world that need help too, other than Japan. So two of them will stay here and the other two will head out to maybe a different country. Therese and Izuku Midoriya decide they're obviously going to stay there, and Kazune even says that she has a place in America and a couple places somewhere else, and that her family were kind of like nomads, you could say. And Glass says that she'll tag along as long as that's okay, and Kazune says that is just fine. They wave to each other and say that hopefully the next time they see each other is alive and well. They all agree, and Therese and Izuku begin speaking about what their plans should be. Izuku brings up the idea of UA, and obviously their entrance exam was blatantly cut short, but this could be a good way of getting people of the pro heroes or even heroes in training to join their team. So Izuku and Therese will do just that. Therese will head to other hero schools while Izuku will head to UA to figure some things out. So they part ways, exchange numbers, and make sure they'll keep in contact. Immediately they part off, and Izuku arrives once again at the UA entrance exam that is pretty broken, torn to shreds, and frankly they're not having the exam for a little bit. He walks in to see Eraserhead, Shota Aizawa, and when he approaches him, Aizawa knows who he is and actually remembers the kid that jumped off when they told him to get inside, but Aizawa has some questions for him. Who are you really? I know you're coming here for the entrance exam, but you don't seem normal. Izuku begins to explain. Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. Listen, so these waves, we're not so sure, but Aizawa cuts him off. We? Yes, we. There's multiple of us. There's me, Glass, Therese, and Kazune. Two of them will head off to a different country to see if there's waves going to come as well over there, but that's beyond the point. It seems that the heroes are weak to these waves. You may be able to fight villains normally, but this is different. These are not villains. These are, you could call, extraterrestrial beings. They're from a different universe. That's pretty blatantly obvious, but the only reason why we were able to defeat them so easily, or at least defeat the minor ones, and you all struggled, was because we have a leveling system. We have this thing called the legendary weapons, but you don't. And it seems like this world is a little mixed together. But if you join my party, then you can get stronger exponentially and be able to fight the waves with us. And Aizawa doesn't even know what to say about this and says that they need to hold a hero meeting and he needs to explain all of this once again. And Izuku is completely fine with this, and he says he'll do whatever needs to be done so that everybody can be safe. So this said meeting begins with all the heroes, and a lot of them are very skeptical, thinking that this was a single anomaly. But Izuku explains that that is most likely not the case. He's kind of been waiting for something like this to happen. Not necessarily in a good way, but expecting it to happen. Nezu actually steps in and says he's read some things about this said occurrence. The waves are, well, obviously known as the waves, but they do bring in monsters from other worlds, monsters that want to lay siege to their world, and that this is a problem. But with these heroes, or the legendary heroes that are here currently, they would be able to fend them off. But the explanation that Izuku gives in terms of how they are weak compared to the monsters makes sense to Nezu. Makes sense to the fact that, well, when you don't train in a specific type of experience, then you suck at it. It's as if you got a doctorate in physics, but then try to go bike for a really long distance. There's no guarantee of you doing well, just because you're good at one thing. In this instance, it's very similar. Just because you're good heroes doesn't mean you're going to be good at this specific type of work. Some heroes have their weaknesses and others have theirs as well, and this is how Nezu begins to explain it. So all the heroes actually agree and begin thinking maybe they should try and tap into this experience or leveling up system, in which Izuku explains that he's not sure if they actually can, other than joining their part or his party or the other hero's party by the name of Therese. But she will most likely have her party capped out very soon with other pro heroes that she's explaining to the same situation to as well. They begin to understand what he's saying, and a couple of them ask to join him, including All Might himself, saying that if he can get stronger, maybe they can wipe out the waves quicker than they can actually arrive, in which Izuku agrees. But All Might is the only one he actually wants to take for now. This theory is interesting. The theory of being able to unlock a leveling system for yourself, it might be just the case. You might be able to do that if only you believe in it enough. Maybe if there's skepticism in your mind of something like this existing, or imbalance in the idea of it, it might not happen. But he will come to a conclusion very soon, at least hopefully. Izuku begins to tell them that if they find out anything, let him know, and just give him updates the best they possibly can. They all agree, and Izuku says that he actually does want to take some of the younger heroes as well, being that they have sky-high potential. And Aizawa says that they have some people with potential written down right now that he could actually go check out and try out. So Izuku is gonna do just that, meeting some of the, well, you can call them younger heroes. He meets up with 3 people: Katsuki Bakugo, Kirishima, and Shoto Todoroki, the son of the number 2 hero. He meets up with them and begins to explain the situation, and they are kind of baffled by all of this, but they do say that that makes sense. It makes sense, that's why they couldn't really hurt anybody. It is odd, it does seem really weird that when they fought somebody, especially in this entire wave and the monsters invading, they did 0 damage. It felt like no other villain they've ever seen. But with all that said, they decide to join their party. Shoto and Bakugo are slightly reluctant, feeling that they can get it done on their own, but frankly that's just not the case. They won't be able to do it on their own, and they do need Izuku's help. So they're instated into Izuku's party, and immediately they gain that said leveling system, in which they're shocked to see, and Izuku says that that's exactly what he thought would happen, but now it comes to if they're gonna train, and also it comes to if the other people can gain this leveling system without being in Izuku's party. While getting things ready, he actually gets a ring on his phone. He answers, and it's Therese. She begins to talk about, well, she has some party members, and luckily she's able to fill up her party entirely, but now it comes down to the leveling up aspect of everything. What's the best way to level up? Even throughout all these years, they haven't had the best way of leveling up. That's why they're such a low level, especially after tons and tons of years of fighting, or at least training, quote unquote. And Izuku doesn't really know the answer to this, but does say that with the monsters coming here, who says that there isn't other monsters that lay in wake? There might be even more monsters that they can slay in certain parts of the world, or even certain parts of Japan, frankly. Maybe some areas in Japan that have the wave monsters hiding, or just monsters in general. And All Might actually comments on this, saying that there's like 3 to 4 places he actually knows about that could have these so-called monsters he speaks of, and they should go try them out, giving 2 of them to Therese and 2 of them to obviously Izuku, and they head off. And when they arrive, they see this odd looking cave, and Izuku immediately pulls out his scythe, and Kirishima comments on how cool that weapon looks. Izuku slightly smiles and says that he agrees, he really likes this weapon, but they should get them weapons as well. And they question why, and Izuku says that it seems that weapons will give them, you could say, a boost to their fighting abilities, a boost to a lot of things. So maybe they should consider it. He knows how strong All Might is, he knows how strong Bakugo is, he knows how strong all of them are, especially with their quirks, and maybe leveling up would expand their quirks even more. But having a weapon on top of that could benefit their abilities, especially if it complements their quirk. He also looks at All Might and says that he hopes that the leveling heals that wound on his, well, ribcage. And he's confused. How did you know that? I can tell. There's a lower in your stats because of it. I'm sure we can find something to heal you, especially in this world now. I've heard rumors, history of a world just like this one. There used to be healing potions that could heal all wounds no matter the damage. Maybe that still exists. Maybe we'll find something. Maybe we'll find some way to heal you. But that will have to wait for now. But hopefully we can find something out, and quick. But he does tell All Might that they're going to limit him. He's already pretty strong, so if he gets just some training and leveling up, that he'll be okay in the future, but especially until they get him that proper healing he needs. Plus, with all this leveling and training, these other villains they've been messing with and trying to defeat will be nothing. So they enter the cave, and when they enter, they see hordes and hordes of monsters. And Izuku slightly smiles, thinking that he was right. They are here, and this is gonna take a while, but this should be some good XP. Immediately, the 5 of them charge in at full speed, slaying monster after monster and creature after creature. This happens for weeks. 1, 2, 3 weeks go by pretty quickly, and their levels accelerate exponentially, and so does the moveset of all of them. Izuku, Bakugo, Kirishima, Shoto, and even All Might has seen some intense growth, but after that 3rd week, they decide that they want to reach out to Therese, and also Glass hopefully, but they don't necessarily have a way to reach out at the moment. But with that said, they're going to reach out to Therese and talk to her team as well. When they meet up with her, they see that she has various pro heroes and heroes in training on their team. That include Inasa, one of the top heroes in their class in terms of being a hero in training. They have Gang Orko, which is he's a top 10 hero, Miss Joke, a teacher at Shuketsu High, and another boy by the name of Hitoshi Shinso, someone they actually saw saving a woman that got her purse taken away, and he has a very, very useful quirk in which he explains to be brainwash, that if he talks and asks someone a question and they answer, that they fall under a brainwash and they get controlled. And Izuku makes it pretty apparent how strong this is, and Shinso says that it's even stronger now since they've been leveling up. He looks at his party and introduces all of them as well, and brings up to Therese All Might. All Might is the strongest hero in this world, in which or at least in Japan, and everybody knows that, but he does have an injury. And Therese is shocked to hear this, but says that's kind of convenient, because she did learn some new skills. She walks over to All Might and places a hand on his chest, and fire erupts around both of them. But nothing happens. Or at least that's what Izuku thinks. All Might looks to see that his wound is partially healed, and Therese says that the more she does it, the more tired she gets, but over time she should be able to heal it completely, hopefully before the next wave. So she explains that every single day she's going to be doing that. She's going to make sure not to overwork herself, but she wants to do that every single day so that All Might can be fully healed for that wave. He profusely thanks her and says that that's amazing that she can even do that. And Izuku says that there is some amazing things that can happen in this world now. You thought superpowers were cool. Well, there's even more now, especially with these waves arriving. For the next couple weeks, they continue their training, but they make sure to stay on guard. They're not sure when the wave will come, but it's almost been a month since the last wave, so they're trying to calculate how quick waves appear, come and go, so that they know for the future if this isn't the last wave. And right when the last day of the month strikes, and an entire month has passed, it's time for the next wave to begin. The sky begins to get gloomier and a lot worse, and it senses that the next wave is among them. It's about to start, and they stay on guard. Actually, 24 hours exactly after this, the wave would begin. Now they know the time period at when the wave would appear. But this wave would eventually be a breeze, or at least that's what they would think. These monsters would come through, giant monsters in fact, and they even have to fight this manticore-like monster, but that was easy. It felt easy. And even Izuku's party comments on this, and so does Therese's, saying that it's odd how simple that was, even without their weapons, their specialty weapons. And Kirishima is really the only one that's been using them, in which he made these gauntlets that have spikes on them that he can actually boost with his quirk now. But Bakugo stayed away from it, and so did Shoto, and then obviously All Might is just more of a punching type. The rest of Therese's party did actually bring weapons, besides Inasa, in which he doesn't really need weapons too much in terms of his quirk. But their calmness, their thoughts of it being easy, would go away very quickly. And very quickly, in fact, when someone else arrives from the wave with a sword in hand, spinning it, staring at the rest of them. He points his sword toward them and says that this world needs to die, and the heroes need to die with it. He introduces himself as Ren, the sword hero for another world, and with their hearts beating, his world is in danger. And that is a wrap for What If Deku Was L'arc Part 1. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, sub, comment down below, all that good stuff. I'm not sure if this will be 3 parts, 4 parts, whatever. It might be 2 parts. I never really know. But as always, if you enjoyed, leave a like, sub, comment down below. It all helps with the algorithm, all helps with growing these videos, especially because this is a different type of video. I'm not sure exactly how good it's going to do, but I hope y'all enjoyed the uniqueness of this video, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.